With the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most gracious. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I hope that you all are fine and you are in best of your spirits. I'm Farooq Abdullah, and today's our lecture is about the summary of the man who loved islands. Actually, we are undergoing the course Introduction to Short Stories in BS English Language and Literature, and this is our fifth short story, The Man Who Loved Islands. And this short story has been written by D.H. Lawrence. D.H. Lawrence was born in 1885 and he died in 1930 at the age of 45. He is an English novelist and critic. In this lecture, we are going to only study about the summary of this short story. We are not going to have a critical overview of this short story. We are not going to discuss the themes of this short story. We are just having a look at the summary of this short story, that what actually happens in this short story. First, we will talk about this word island. That what is an island? You know that island is a piece of land that is surrounded by the water all around it. This is a piece of land which is surrounded by the sea, which is surrounded by the ocean all around it. So this part of land is actually, separate from the entire world. So it is actually the symbol of alienation. This is the symbol of loneliness. So when the writer says that the man who loved islands, it does mean that the man who loved loneliness, the man who loved to live alone, the man who loved to live alienated and alone from alienated from the different people all around the world. Main character of this short story is Cathcart. He is also, written as the islander, and he is also, spoken as the master in this short story. He is a well-dressed person, he is a well-groomed person, and when the short story starts, he is 35 years old. He is an intellectual person, he is having a scholarly outlook towards life, and he loves to live on islands. And as I'm saying earlier, that when he loves to live on islands, it means that he loves to live alone, and he loves to live alone. And one thing more about this character is that he is not satisfied in any condition. He is not satisfied with his life. He visits 3 islands, and but he is not contented, but he is not satisfied. Out of these 3 islands, we are going to first talk about the first island. The first island that he visits is a small island, and its distance can be covered in 20 minutes. You can have an idea that how small this island might be, that its distance can be covered in just 20 minutes. Islander goes there and he lives in a hut, and that hut is made of wood and made of straw. So he lives over there and he brings books, a lot of books he brings there with him. So it proves that he is a man of letters, he is a scholarly figure, he is an intellectual person who loves books, and he is a writer as well. He himself is a writer, he writes books as well, and he is pretty much fascinated by the nature. And he brings some people with him as well when first he visits the first island, and he is very much fascinated by the objects of nature over there. But he feels uncomfortable at night. At night he is pretty uncomfortable. In the daylight he is all okay when he sees different objects and different elements of nature. He is quite fascinated by the elements of nature. But at night he feels uncomfortable. Why does he feel so? He actually listens to the whisperings of ghosts and spirits, and he thinks that these spirits are of the people who once lived on this island. And And the people he brings with him are actually mainly the staff. There is a mason, there is a carpenter, and different people are there along with him, and he spends money on them. So he faces a financial crisis as well, and he sends many of them back to the world, and he visits second island. He because at the first island he was not contented. He goes to second island. The second island, when he moves to second island with less staff, he lessens the staff so that he may not suffer financial crisis as he had suffered on first island. This island is even smaller than the first one. Remember one thing, that I am just telling you the summary of this story. I am not having a critical overview, or I am not having a critical commentary on this short story. This I will have in my next lecture. This is just a summary. So this island is even smaller than the first one. Carpenter, mason, a widow and her daughter are there with him on this island. The name of the daughter of that widow is Flora. Flora is a girl who is probably 30 years old. And one thing more, that he lives 4.5 years on first island. And when story starts, he was 35 years old, and he spends 4.5 years over there on first island. So on second island, he might be around 40 years old, 39 plus. So Flora is 30 years old, and she types the manuscript of the book that he is writing. And interestingly, rather symbolically, the name of that book is Flora, that she types. And what is the name of that girl? The name of that girl is also Flora. And you know that what's Flora? Flora is all about plants, that's all about flowers. And that book is also about plants, that book is also about flowers. So she actually types the manuscript of that book that he is writing. And her name is Flora, as I'm saying. And he develops a sexual relationship with Flora. One thing you must keep in your mind, that this sexual relationship was not based on desire. That was not based on longing or on lust. That was life force, as Ibsen puts it. This is a life force. For example, if you are eating meal, this is your need. This is your requirement. That's not you can say that that's not your desire. ये आपकी ख्वाहिश नहीं है. This is your need. This is your requirement. In the same way, he believed, D.H. Lawrence believed, that sex is the need of human beings. So he fulfills that need with that girl Flora, and Flora gets pregnant, and inwardly that man, that Cathcart, is ashamed of himself that he has not done something good, and he marries with Flora, and then he actually offers him to go back and do not accompany him towards islands. Next slide. Then, because he was not even contented on second island, he moves to the third island. The third island is even smaller than the second one. Actually, this man is not satisfied with being with the people. Rather, this time he doesn't bring many people with him. Actually, he brings some animals with him. And the condition of that third island is that this is the smaller than the second one. No trees are there, no bushes are there. There is a complete silence over there, and he brings chair, desk, and books. And this time he brings just a few books with him, not plenty of books as he had brought on first island. And birds even move away when winter season comes. Birds even are not there. So he is living all alone, completely cut off from the entire world. and snow is falling right over there, and his life is becoming uncomfortable over there too. And then towards the end, he tries to escape from this island because he's horrified, he's afraid that soon he's going to die on this island. First, there is a diversity, there is a contradiction. At first he wants to live alone, but when he lives alone and he is now completely alone and alienated from the rest of the world, now he wishes and desires to be with the people. Now he desires to go there in the world, to live in the company of the people, and he has realized that the objects and elements of nature that he loved, those elements of nature cannot be replaced by human beings. Rather, human beings cannot be replaced by those elements of nature that he loved. Now he wants to go back to the world. He tries to escape from this island, and once the snow was falling and he goes out from his hut. That was not actually the hut, that was a cemented home. This time he was living in a cemented home, and he manages to get to the boat somehow. But when he gets to the boat, at that time heavy snowfall is right over there, and he falls down, and at that time he thinks that he will be buried under the snow. But somehow he manages to get up, and he says to himself that, come on, the snow is going to conquer you. You should conquer the snow. Snow should not conquer you. And he returns back to home and he makes coffee for himself. But the snow is falling, and it's falling heavily, and toward the end we see that he's buried under the snow. And that's the end of the story. I'm not going to have a critical commentary on this story. I will have a critical commentary on this story in my next lecture. If you have any confusion, if you have any query, you can contact me. You can ask me the questions. You can ask the questions under the comments section, as well as you can ask in WhatsApp groups as well. I hope I'm clear with this story, with the summary of this story. See you in next lecture. God bless you all.